Hello, good evening. Hi. So this is gonna be an out of school culture diary video because boy do I have way too many thoughts. So, what does this mean? This means that first, I am speaking in English, and second off, I will be cursing. So, if you don't like that, what we're doing today, I am going to give you all the thoughts that I have about the movie Despicable Me 4. Why Despicable Me 4? I was asking the same question, it just refuses to leave my mind. Another thing is that a lot of people be making videos about Despicable Me 4 because, you know, it's the new movie, and also, it's complicated because what the general consensus that I'm getting is that people think that the movie is bad, boring, and a waste of time. Now, bad is a subjective label, and I would not say it's bad, personally. Boring? Yeah, you could say that. There are elements of it that I find rather boring, but a waste of time? I would deeply disagree with that, because in my opinion, Despicable Me 4 puts the entire series in a new lens. It makes you consider the entire series from a perspective that you could have come to from the first movie, but also, if you didn't see it the first time, you could start looking at it through that lens from this movie. With some criteria, mind you. Number one, you have to be insane. I have notes, and we're gonna be using those because I have no sense of being a person who knows how to structure anything. That was a horrible sentence, holy shit. Anyway, let's start. Number one, super strong opening, best song in the movie, great atmosphere, immediate intrigue and action with enough room to breathe. Excellent. Yes. First off, I need to talk with Pharrell Williams, because holy fucking shit, what did he put in that fucking song that it has me listening to it on repeat. So yes, the opening is great, the music's great, and it's a really good hook because it's intriguing, it's great. Number two, I'm a little confused about how the other villains didn't know Gru was part of the AVL, and in general, to capture Cockroach Guy in that class reunion didn't seem like the best plan. At that point, why not shut down the whole school? Also, taking into consideration the fact that there are a whole bunch of villains in the audience while Cockroach Guy is being arrested, I don't quite get why they're just watching it all go down. We could have had a whole Across the Spider-Verse style fight scene. Okay, I state a couple things there. Number one, the main point I have come to realize about the Despicable Me universe is that villains just exist. They're Saturday morning cartoon villains on purpose. They're not there just because they have some big motivation. These movies are about a world wherein villains just exist because, yes. And I think that's fine. And I think that's pretty unique because usually, like, the general consensus is that you have to have, if you're gonna have a villain, you need the villain to have a good reason to be villaining. But, like, I think for certain cases, that doesn't need to happen. Sometimes a villain can be a villain just 'cause, you know? Just, like in classic fairy tales and stuff, like, not everything always needs a reason to happen, and a lot of villains who try to be deep and complex fail because, first off, the author doesn't know what they're doing, and also because sometimes they just don't need that, you know? Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. The problem is you need to decide what fits your story best. And in this universe, the dumbest reasons are fine, and honestly, that's fine. My issue is with the fact that the AVL doesn't exist on the same level. The Anti-Villain League exists on a what I assume, like from my experience with these movies, they exist on a very serious level, whilst the villains do not. If in the beginning where they go capture Cockroach Guy, there was like a little moment where it's like, oh yeah, there are all these other villains, but no, we just came to get the one guy. And why shut down the school? Then we won't have anyone to capture. That would have been fine. That would deal with the reality of this world wherein people just be villains just cuz. But like they don't, so it feels very strange that the AVL is like, oh yeah, we're after the one guy. You guys go do whatever. And the point about people just standing around, this is a problem in the movie generally, because there are a couple scenes where action is happening with like two characters, for example, but like the surrounding characters don't do anything, which is fine in the grocery store scene because like who the hell are these people? But in the rest of the scenes that doesn't really make sense. Like here where a guy is literally being arrested and the rest of the villains just stand around watching. I think that doesn't really work. So yeah. About Cockroach Guy. Yeah, I don't remember his name. I watched the movie in Latvian. I don't remember his name in Latvian. I don't remember his name in English because I have read what the name is. I just don't remember what it was. So I'm just gonna be calling him Cockroach Guy. Or in Latvian, he had like Prusak Vīrs or something like that as his name, and I'm like, no man, come on, you could have said Pusprusaks. That sounds better. It does, and I will be fighting people about it. Okay, about Cockroach Guy. I can't lie, I do like his motivation beyond him getting arrested both times for antagonizing Gru. It's dumb and I love that. Him wanting to take away his kid doesn't really make sense to me, and it seems a lot more personal than makes sense. As a foil to Gru, he doesn't make so much sense either. Cockroach Guy's whole deal is that he's petty and can't move on from that talent show Gru snubbed him in. How that relates to Gru's conflict is that it doesn't at all. He, especially compared to the other villains in the series, also doesn't have a particularly strong design. I don't really know what specifically makes him so bland, beyond that he's way too similar to the third movie's villain, whose name I also don't remember, fuck me. Big hair and a purple color scheme. Also, all the villains in Despicable Me movies are people with black hair for some reason. And the Minion ones too. It's kind of weird. On the other hand, I like his cockroach mobile. I think it's pretty cool looking. I also like his girlfriend's design and her in general, though her dog can go fuck itself for all I care. The dog is like the bottom of the barrel of the Secret Life of Pets designs. It's actually horrible. Okay, yes, so usually the writing thing about villains is that they're kind of the foil to the main character, which doesn't always have to be the case, mind you, but also like I'm just trying to understand why he needed to be in the movie. Like how does his plot, how does his character traits, like how does that relate to Gru? And again, it doesn't. Like Gru's conflict could have been about him also being petty and learning that, hey, you know what, acting like this one thing that happened years ago, like that's fucking pointless. But like it doesn't happen. So I don't really understand. Also, the thing is, later in the movie, Cockroach Guy kidnaps Gru's son, who I will be getting into. But he kidnaps his son and is like, "Oh, I'm gonna be your new dad," and I don't understand why he would want to do that. I don't how does that I don't see how it glues together, and I think that's an issue. But yes, the milk joke wasn't particularly funny. I don't really see why it was left in. Honestly, this note was a lot funnier than the joke itself. Like I genuinely don't understand. Like what sort of a, like, yeah, there's a lot of kind of milk, but like, that's a joke. I'm gonna skip this part because I have a lot to say about that. I don't hate the idea of the family having to go into witness protection. I get it, but there are some issues with it because at the core of it, the idea is that the program is that you just live out a perfectly normal life with with new names, and that's it. It has potential, and there are some ideas the writers play with, but not enough. Agnes's issue with lying doesn't go anywhere. Lucy being a bad hairdresser doesn't mean anything to the plot. Also, the fucking scene with like the karate or judo practice thing, that also doesn't go anywhere. We don't get to see Margot being happy with the friends she had to leave behind or struggle at her new school, except for that glitter bomb, but that doesn't even really count because it's like, it's barely there. Nothing goes anywhere. If the witness protection bit was a short joke or fleshed out more, I wouldn't have anything to say, but as it stands, it's entirely pointless. Yes, my point is that there's a lot of potential, but it just isn't realized, and I think I know why, but that's getting into a bigger deal, which is why I skipped this part for now. We're gonna be getting into it. I'm genuinely pissed off that Edith hasn't had any room to develop as a character or have any plot of her own in any of these movies. Margot had her time in the first two, Agnes had hers in the second and third, but Edith has only tagged along and bullied that butler the entire time. Frankly, I think that's stupid because, like, she also has a lot of potential as a character because, like, at the core of it, she's a very, very pronounced tomboy. And what I want to know is, like, because, okay, I know this is kind of stereotypical, but again, stereotypically speaking, tomboys usually, like, have an aversion to, like, girly stuff, and something that is girly, that is the color pink. So I kind of want to see why she dresses basically in all pink on purpose, because, like, I think that's interesting because, like, again, there's stuff there to talk about, but, like, the writers, I don't think they really see it. We'll skip this also. The secondhand embarrassment from Gru trying to make friends with a neighbor was horrible and goes on too long. Why would anyone do this? Holy shit, that was completely unnecessary. There's a line between awkward and funny or endearing and secondhand embarrassment, and I actually don't know what the line is, because at one end there's Despicable Me 4 and Gru trying to make friends with his neighbors, and at the other end it's my theater colleague, let's say, at our show this year, who was funny and awkward and kind of relatable. But the thing is, I don't know what the line is. Like, at what point do we, like, see that a person is trying their best, and at which we look and we're, like, cringing hardcore. I hate describing anything as cringy because I just genuinely don't believe that. But, like, that was it. That was cringy. Okay. The minion fucking with the neighbor at the tennis match was wonderful and amazing. 10 out of 10. That was sweet. I thought, first off, it was funny, and second off, I thought that was really sweet, and third, it saved us from more secondhand embarrassment of Gru being beaten at tennis. But, like, about it being sweet, I just think that it's really cute having a minion just show up out of nowhere and being like, yeah, I don't fucking think so. He's my guy. I will fuck you up. And I just think that's really cute. And it's funny, okay? I thought that scene was really funny. We didn't get enough of Lucy being cool. Why did we cut away from them fighting the principal lady? Dumb as fuck. All of these movies have a severe lack of Lucy getting to be cool. She's an awesome character and an awesome person. I just want to see more of her actually doing things, but we don't get that. And a thing about Despicable Me 2, I think it should have been Gru strapped to the rocket instead of Lucy. Also, just the way she was just dragged off by El Macho. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Oh my god. Okay. The baby returning to the light was too sappy even for me. I would have preferred they rip off the Incredibles the whole way and make the baby be the menace who saves the day. Yeah, I'm a person who likes really sappy shit. Like the give me all the sugar, all the spice and all the everything nice, but this was too far. Frankly, I hate that. That was a bad scene. And also, yes, this movie has a lot of elements ripped off from The Incredibles, but honestly, I would have preferred if they just made the baby when Gru Jr. when he was turned into a fucking cockroach, him just be a fucking menace, be like, "Oh shit, I'm indestructible now. I'm gonna fuck you all up." And I would have loved that, but that's not what happens. So, yeah. Okay, about the ending. Amazing ending. Gru and Cockroach Guy coming to a sort of understanding, still bickering, but in a kind of friendly way. All of the series is villains coming together, all the characters having a cameo at the end, leaving their differences and agreeing that everyone to some extent or another wants to rule the world. If that's not how they end the series, I will fucking riot because that is perfect. That is a fact. I will be so upset if they make another one because if this is not how you end the series, I don't know what to fucking tell you. My biggest issue with the biggest issue with the movie is that there are way too many fucking characters. Let's get into it. The fucking baby, holy shit, completely unnecessary to the plot. Absolutely wasn't needed. However, what they did with the kid was alright. I like the jokes that come with him being a little shit, especially with the balloons in the car. That was funny. But that doesn't take away from the fact that he takes away from the movie. The ginger neighbor girl didn't need to be in the movie. She gets better and less annoying when they go to steal the badger, but her creepy kid watched the Adam family once. The Adams family once. Shtick is really grating. I really like that Gru adopted another kid on accident, but like when and I like when she goes over to their house to hang out with the girls, but it's still unnecessary. She could have been replaced by Edith. The super minions have no reason to exist and are also entirely unneeded for the plot. Did cheer for the Spider-Man reference. Same thing goes for the fucking principal lady, and I have a lot to say about the minions actually. So what the minions are is essentially a cutaway joke, some breathing time between scenes of things actually happening, and sometimes doing something useful. That is fine. However, there's a balance that needs to be struck between these joke kind of characters that I think. In the first movie, there's one group of minions that is the entire collective, and they just cut to random parts of them, but they're used sparingly enough that it doesn't take away from the movie. This movie has also three groups of minions, but they never come together. The thing is, there's the whole group of the minions who get sent to the AVL to work there. I think that's fine, whatever. Then there's the super minions for some reason, and then there's the group of minions that stay at the house with the one that's stuck in a vending machine for some fucking reason. That is way too fucking much. Especially considering how many characters already are in the fucking movie. The family consisted originally of... Well, not originally. Before the baby, consisted of 5 people. That's already a big cast. Add another one, and then add all these other unnecessary characters. There's just too many of them. If I was the one writing the shit, I would have been like, you know what, guys? We need to cut down on the bloat, because... unnecessary, completely unnecessary. And the thing is, there are not even 2, there are 3 fucking villains. There's Cockroach Guy, his girlfriend, and the fucking principal lady. That is already way too fucking much. And like, especially considering the previous movies where in the first one there were 2, but only one of them had any presence to him. The second one had El Macho in the Minions, but like that's different. And the third one had what's his name? This one has fucking three of them. That's insane. Then add the neighbor girl, add the all the rest of the minions, add the entire family. That is a lot of fucking people. And the issue that this presents is that there are the movie's way too padded. It doesn't have enough time to go into detail about the characters we actually want to know about, which is the family. That's the 5 people. Oh, right, the baby. The fucking baby. Why is the baby in the movie? Doesn't add anything to the fucking plot. Neighbor girl, minions, villains, baby. Net zero to the fucking plot. Like, oh my god. I don't understand how none of the writers had, like, a moment to think, yeah, there's just way too much inconsequential shit happening. Because, like, that takes away from the movie. Like, sure, that's the thing. It's really interesting how these characters are completely pointless, but the writers still do fun, funny things with them. And still add nothing to the story. It's really unfortunate because, like, if they were, holy shit, they could have been short films. Like, these sequences of, like, the characters. They could have been short films, but no, they're all crammed into this one movie, and it takes away from the characters we actually care about, and it fucks with the feeling that anything is actually happening, because at this point I don't even really know how to explain what the movie's about, because like if I was pushed to it, I would be like, oh yeah, Gru and his family are in the witness protection program because of this bad guy. And like that's taking a lot of parts out of the movie just to like explain that one simple part. And the fact that it barely like comes together at the end, it's kind of disappointing, really. But why I think this movie wasn't an entire waste of time, not only because I think that not only because it's a fun time, I think some of the jokes were really funny. Um, Parts with the super minions were funny. I like there was some merit to it. It's not an entire waste of time. It's funny, and it also, again, it kind of makes you look at the movie through a different lens. I'm gonna read the last thing I wrote here. In conclusion, I think one of the biggest problems is that there are way too many characters. The plot is stretched way too thin and padded despite having so many opportunities to focus on the actually interesting parts. The movie could have been about the family. It could have been about the control we want to have over our lives. The villain could have been a representation of the things we can't get rid of without help, since he's a cockroach and shit. As it stands, it's a perfectly fine watchable movie, but it could have been a lot more, which sucks, but that's that. But, like, the thing is, Gru could have had a story about how he learns that it's fine to be him, but, like, since he's, like, regarded as such a downer of a person that, what's his name from the ABL is like, yeah, man, you gotta brighten up a little to try. And like frankly, I have some issues with that, because with his family he is nothing but a ray of fucking sunshine, but also I get what he's saying, especially when the first and second movies are concerned, since I don't remember jack shit from the third. But like, yeah, he does have a bit of an issue with like interacting with people and being happy, and not being a dick about it. So, like, maybe there could have been something about that, but, like, not really. What I think this movie series is about is the control we try to take over our own lives. How Gru is basically he's collecting his own little found family. He's carving out this little piece of the world just for him and his family, and he just wants to be happy with it. I think it's especially noticeable in the first one because of how Gru doesn't stand up to having the girls taken away at first, and later he's like, yeah, no, fuck this, and everything's fine in the end. I think that's really interesting. It's a story about well, not explicitly, but genuinely about a guy learning to not project his trauma onto his children. It's about how Gru um like gets over himself, essentially, how he learns to be a better parent than his mother was, how he learns to not be afraid of expressing his feelings towards, well, in the second movie, to women, and that's great. um no comment on the third one, still don't remember shit about it. And in the fourth one, it's kind of tying it all together, because at the end, what is the chorus of the song? Nothing ever lasts forever. Everybody wants to rule the world. And what does that mean? It's that everybody wants to have that little piece of control they feel like they can have. And for Gru, that's control over himself. That's control over the people he spends his time with, what he chooses to do. And I think that's great. That's why I think this movie is not an entire waste of time, because it has stuff to it, and there was so much potential. There could have been, this movie could have been so much better, and I just feel like honestly, I don't even really know what happened, because, like, either the writers didn't notice or they didn't care, but, like, it's one of those stories that if I had the patience, I would rewrite. It's like Lodge Place, it's like, oh, I can't think of anything right now. It's like Lodge Places in that sense, where I read it and I'm like, oh yeah, there's stuff in here that I find really cool. But, like, the way it's written right now kind of sucks. So yeah, I think that's why Despicable Me 4 isn't a waste of time, and it's the perfect send-off to the Despicable Me franchise. And if they make a fifth one, I will actually riot.